Hey there, my lovely viewers. Been a little bit longer than I wanted to wait to make this thing, but, you know, I'm bad at planning stuff, so I kind of had to shoehorn some Christmas stuff into this one, but I assure you it will be just as terrible quality as the last few years. Warning. No recorded footage or screenshots of this game exist. For your viewing pleasure, I have recreated some of the scenes from within the story with AI. Viewer discretion is advised because some of these images have a sort of uncanny creepiness to them. While exploring my old belongings, I found a disc with the words Unnamed Project 1 on it. Upon booting it up, it was a game my younger self had made. The title screen said Work in Progress, version 6.65. It was just a really crappy survival horror game. Think like Resident Evil 1 through 3 or Silent Hill 1. I wasn't really good at graphic design when I was younger, so the graphics were pretty bad. Exploring the game wasn't really a unique experience, as I'd ripped off the plot from the first Resident Evil game pretty much one to one, except only one member of the group had survived, myself, as when I was younger I had these dreams of being part of the games I played, so I would insert myself at every chance I got, and when I learned to make video games I jumped at the first chance, disregarding if it looked good or even be fun. The game was really boring. Zombies were easy to kill, and you didn't even need to score a headshot to kill them. Body shots would also turn their head into red mist. My younger self was pretty bad at games, though, and I remember dying dozens of times to these while playtesting. After clearing a hallway out, I found a window that had a prompt on it, which was odd because I remember distinctly that I wanted to keep the player within the mansion the whole game, and this window's prompt simply said open. I figured it must have been a funny joke and would probably result in a dog jumping through the window as a reference to Resident Evil 1. Upon pressing the prompt, my character grabbed the window and attempted to open it, but to no avail. Obviously, I wouldn't have just done one right. All the other windows were just background. Why would this one window have a prompt to open it? Just to do nothing. So I tried again. This time the window cracked a little and I swore I felt a breeze in real life. Snow began pouring through the window. As I pressed the button again, this time my character opened the window all the way. Now this was definitely advanced for me to have coded when I was a young teenager, and now a new prompt had appeared. It said climb. I pressed the button and my character climbed through the window, out into the snow. Their idle pose changed from a combat-ready stance to a cold one with their arms held tightly to their chest. The snow was really detailed, leaving indents as I walked, which once more was definitely more advanced than I knew how to code. The set camera angles started to bug out a bit in the outside area, as there were no natural places to have put the cameras. It also seemed like the world was entirely 3D modeled, not just backgrounds that are only modeled to a specific perspective such as Resident Evil or Silent Hill. Walking around, I found the driveway. There were some Christmas decorations in the snow, though they'd been damaged and were clearly put up a long time ago. I seem to recall making this game around Christmas, so it makes sense that I would have put festive decorations in, I suppose. Exploring outside led me down a wooded path with no life and an eerie droning noise. A light in the distance grabbed my attention, as I swore I had never made anything out here, and I definitely didn't make a whole town to explore. As I approached the light, the sound got louder, and I had to quickly minimize the game and lower the volume as my ears were in pain due to the noise getting louder. Now I knew I hadn't programmed this. I've had very sensitive ears since a young age, so something like a noise that gets louder and louder wouldn't be in any game I made. Despite this, I moved closer and closer to the light, and my initial thought was correct as I exited the woods into a street covered in snow. But the light I'd been following was from a distant house. I scanned the area for zombies, as it'd been a while since I'd seen any, but there was nothing. Seemed like I was free to continue towards the house with the lit window. Out of nowhere, a really loud metal scraping began to play out. It was like something out of Silent Hill, which made me question if maybe I had actually coded this all as some sort of joke. I was a fan of Silent Hill after all, and the snowy streets paralleled to the ash-covered streets of Silent Hill. With my heart racing, I ran towards the house, now afraid that something would come out of nowhere and attack me. I felt more fear sitting in my chair than my character could have possibly felt. There's always something eerie about old games, especially when they're a project you created, and even more so when it's one you don't remember creating. Finally, after what seemed like forever, I reached the front door. The house sent a chill down my spine as the exterior looked a lot like my current home, and the room with the lit window matched to my own bedroom in real life. I tried not to think about this too much, though, as house exteriors can look alike but not have the same interior in the slightest. I made my way to the front door and opened it up, and a primal fear surged through me. It was set up exactly like my own house. Any logical person would have shut this game off by now, but as creator I felt the need to look deeper into it. Everything was in the right spot, and then I heard a sound from upstairs. My room and a spare room being the only two rooms upstairs, I decided to take a look. Once I reached the top of the stairs, it was as I had feared. It was still the same. I crept closer to my room, then finally opened it. There was a zombie in my room. On top of that, I shuddered as I noticed the clothes he was wearing. It looked exactly like what I was wearing in real life. In fact, he looked like a PlayStation 1 mummified version of myself. I did the only thing I could think to do in a game about killing zombies. I shot it with my handgun. The first shot entirely missed, which only fueled my growing fear. I didn't want to think about zombie me in my real house anymore, so I kept shooting and missing. And then, I finally hit. The zombie fell to the ground as I fell back in my chair with an incredible pain throughout my body. I watched in horror as my character, now controlling himself, walked towards the camera, which was now positioned in the computer's screen in the game, as if to give a view from the computer itself. My chunky PlayStation 1 model self approached the screen and then began to push on it with his hands. Eventually, he pressed the screen out of my physical monitor and crawled out of my monitor, pushing me out of my chair in the process. He looked down at me. He groaned something like, "You're not what you used to be," and then held his gun down at me. The last thing I heard was the sound of the trigger being pulled. 1 year after the events, his friend received a package from him. In the package was the same disc. His friend booted up the game thinking nothing of it. The title screen said version 6.66 now. His friend met the same fate. The disc was sent to one of his friends, and so on.